Hello there, and welcome back. Tonight, we're going on a journey into a place that is, in a way, everywhere. A place that is not defined by the brilliant points of light we usually look for, but by the profound and quiet darkness that cradles them. We're going to explore the great in-between, the space between the stars and the planets. So, wherever you are, as these words find you, let yourself settle in. Perhaps you can feel the weight of your body surrendering to the surface beneath you, your shoulders softening and the rhythm of your breath beginning to slow and deepen as the day simply softens and fades away. The world outside is quiet now. The busy sounds have retreated. The light has dimmed, and in this hush, it's just us and the gentle dark. It's the perfect time to look upward, not with our eyes, but with our imagination. Where are you listening from tonight? Perhaps your window is open just a crack, letting in a soft night breeze that carries the distant earthy scent of rain on dry soil. Or maybe you're tucked away in a quiet room, where the only light is the soft ephemeral glow from a screen, soon to be closed, leaving only the comfort of shadows. However you found your way here, you've arrived, and we have a vast, quiet expanse to explore together. A story not of solid things, but of the delicate, almost nothing that holds them all. Now, look up at the night sky in your mind's eye. Picture it. You see the stars, those brilliant, steadfast points of light, pinpricks in a dark fabric. You see the planets, wandering slowly, patiently through the fixed constellations. It is so easy, so natural to see them as a map, a connect the dots drawing laid out against a simple, black canvas. We trace the lines between them, Orion's belt, the Great Bear, and we see a pattern of objects. We see the destinations, but the true nature of the cosmos is so much more vast and so much more quiet. What exists in that profound darkness between them? Not as a mere emptiness to be crossed, but as a place itself, a realm with its own character, its own inhabitants, its own slow, patient life. It is a question that feels almost like a whisper, a curiosity that doesn't startle, but simply invites. It invites us not into a void, but into a hidden, drifting world, an ocean of near nothingness, a cradle of potential. For this space, which seems to our eyes to be the very definition of nothing, is in fact a reservoir of almost everything. It is filled with lonely atoms on epic journeys, with drifting dust, the very seeds of future worlds, with whispers of ancient light and the faint magnetic threads that weave the galaxy together. This is not a story of violent collisions or blazing infernos. It is a story of immense patience, of subtle, gentle forces, of a cold so deep it has its own presence, and a silence so profound you can almost hear the universe breathing. It is a story that asks us to redefine what we consider to be something, and what we consider to be nothing. So, as you lie there, feeling the gentle rise and fall of your own chest, you can begin to imagine that you are not just lying in a room. You are adrift. You are cradled in a subtle cosmic medium, the same medium that cradles the Earth and the Moon and the distant glow of Neptune. We are all of us, right now, floating in this great in-between. Let us begin to drift into that quiet question. Let the edges of your body feel less solid and more like a soft constellation of atoms, themselves mostly empty space, harmonizing with the vast emptiness outside. There is no need to focus too hard, no need to grasp for answers. The journey itself is the goal. The gentle wandering is the path. So, take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel yourself letting go of the need to be anywhere else, or do anything else. There is only this moment, this quiet, this soft, expansive dark, both within the room and within the cosmos. And in the silence between these words, if you listen with your whole being, you might just hear the faint whispering echo of what exists between the stars. It is one of the most natural assumptions we can make. We look up, we see black, a deep, unending blackness between the brilliant points of light, and so we call it empty. We call it a void, a nothingness. But this is the great illusion of the cosmos, the first and most beautiful secret it keeps from a casual glance. The truth is, our eyes are designed for a world of solid things, for earth and water and air. They are not built to perceive the exquisite subtlety of the interstellar realm. It would be like standing on a shore, looking out at the deep ocean, and believing it to be a barren, lifeless desert of water, simply because you cannot see the whales, the jellyfish, the shimmering schools of silver, the forests of kelp that thrive in the sunlit layers, or the strange glowing creatures that pulse in the eternal night of the abyss. The ocean teems with life, most of it hidden from our immediate sight, and so it is with space. Let's bring this closer to home. Imagine a room in your own home late at night. All the lights are off, the curtains are drawn, it is perfectly still, you might call it empty. But then, you open a single, thin curtain, and a single sunbeam from a street lamp or a distant moon cuts a brilliant straight path through the darkness, and in that beam, what do you see? You see them, countless tiny dust motes, drifting, dancing, twirling in a slow, weightless ballet. They were there all along, in the so-called emptiness of the room, billions of them. The light simply revealed them. Now, let your imagination expand that room. Expand it to the size of a cathedral, then to the size of a continent, then to the size of the entire Earth's orbit around the sun. Now make the dust motes not specks of skin and fabric, but atoms of hydrogen and helium, and tiny grains of carbon and silicate smaller than a particle of smoke. And make the sunbeam not a beam from a lamp, but the collective light of a billion distant stars, or the fierce glow of a nearby nebula. This is the true nature of the cosmic void. It is not empty, it is filled. It is a thin, almost impossibly diffuse ocean of matter, a mist, a cosmic haze. We give this almost nothing a name. Scientists call it the interstellar medium, the substance between the stars. It sounds technical, but break it down. Interstellar. Between the stars, medium. An environment, a substance. It is the environment between the stars. And just as a fish lives in the medium of water, and we live in the medium of air, the stars and planets live and move and have their being. Within this medium, it is their context, their cradle. The emptiness is an illusion of scale and perception. A single atom in this medium might travel for years, for decades, for centuries, before it ever encounters another. The distances between them are so immense, so incomprehensibly vast, that from our perspective it seems like a perfect vacuum. And yet, if you were to gather all of this tenuous, diffuse material from across our galaxy, all these lonely atoms, all this fine dust from the vast spaces between 1 trillion stars, it would be enough to build billions of new suns. It is the raw, unformed potential of the galaxy itself. It is the galaxy's future, waiting in a state of patient, suspended animation. So, as you lie there in the quiet dark of your room, you can begin to reframe the darkness you see with your eyes closed. It is not an absence, it is a presence, a subtle, whispering presence. The space between your thoughts, the space between the stars, it is not truly empty. It is a canvas, it is a reservoir, it is a quiet, breathing thing, and we are about to drift deeper into its heart to meet the lonely, patient travellers that call it home. Let us drift now, deeper into this cosmic ocean, and let us meet its most fundamental and most abundant citizens, the lonely atoms. If the interstellar medium is a vast cosmic sea, then these atoms are its water molecules, the individual drops that make up the ocean itself. The king here, the silent, solitary monarch of the void, is hydrogen, the simplest of all elements, the first one to emerge from the fiery birth of the universe. A hydrogen atom is a thing of profound simplicity and profound beauty. Imagine a tiny, tiny solar system. A single, positively charged proton sits at its centre, the sun of this miniature world, and around it, a single, negatively charged electron whirls, not in a neat circular orbit as we often picture it, but as a cloud of possibility, a shimmering, vibrating shell of potential, a whisper of a thing. And these whispers, these simplest of building blocks, are everywhere. In the space between the stars, a single cubic centimetre, a volume about the size of a sugar cube, might contain only a few dozen of these atoms. To put that into perspective, the air we breathe in that same sugar cube space contains trillions upon trillions of molecules. Space, by our standards, is achingly empty. And yet, when you consider the sheer, mind-numbing volume of space, the colossal distances between stars, those few dozen atoms per cubic centimetre add up. They become a cosmic fog, a thin, ethyl gas that stretches for light years. Now picture one of these hydrogen atoms. Let's give it a story. It has been drifting for 1 million years. Perhaps it was once part of the outer atmosphere of a dying star, gently blown away on a solar wind. Or perhaps it is a primordial atom, one that has never been inside a star, a pristine relic from the very dawn of time. It is cold, colder than any place on Earth, colder than the dark side of Pluto. Its temperature is just a few degrees above absolute zero, the point where all molecular motion theoretically ceases. It is not completely still, but its motion is a slow, languid drift. It travels. In the perfect silence, it journeys. It does not travel in a straight line necessarily. It is a solitary sailor on an invisible sea, pushed by the faintest of pressures from starlight, or gently tugged by the magnetic threads that are woven through the galaxy. For centuries it encounters nothing. It is alone with its own existence, a single, conscious thought in a vast, dark mind. And then, something happens. After a millennia of solitude, another atom approaches, another hydrogen atom on its own endless journey. They drift towards one another, drawn not by desire, but by the simple, statistical inevitability of motion in a vast space. They pass by each other. Their electron clouds, those spheres of negative charge, gently repel one another. They do not collide, they do not react, they simply acknowledge each other's existence with a subtle, electromagnetic nod, and then continue on, their way, perhaps for another 1 million years of solitude. This is the most common social interaction in the universe, a silent passing glance in the eternal night. But sometimes, a rarer event occurs. The atom might be struck by a tiny packet of light, a photon that has been travelling for 1,000 years from a brilliant young star. This photon delivers a tiny jolt of energy. The atom absorbs it. Its electron, for a fleeting moment, jumps to a higher, more excited state. It is a moment of cosmic awakening, a tiny thrill in the endless calm, and then, a moment later, the electron falls back to its resting state, and to maintain balance, the atom releases that energy again. It re-emits a photon, a new particle of light, sending it off in a random direction to travel another 1,000 years through the void, until it maybe, just maybe, tickles another atom into a moment of excitement. This is the hidden life of the cosmos, a slow, stately dance of solitude and occasional fleeting connection, a dance of absorption and emission, a universe breathing in the most slow, the most patient rhythm imaginable. These atoms are not just passive filler, they are the raw material of everything to come. They are the quiet, the patient, the waiting. They are the unspoken words in the story of the galaxy. And as you drift deeper into relaxation, you can almost feel their quiet presence. A universe built not on solid ground, but on a sea of gentle, drifting whispers. But the interstellar sea is not made of gas alone. Drifting alongside the lonely hydrogen atoms like fine silt suspended in a deep ocean current is something more complex, more tangible. This is the cosmic dust, and to call it mere dust is to call a snowflake a piece of ice. It is a misnomer that hides a universe of delicate architecture. This is not the dust that gathers on a bookshelf. That is coarse, a crumbling mix of skin cells and fabric fibers. Cosmic dust is something else entirely. It is born in the violent yet distant final breaths of stars. When ancient giant stars reach the end of their lives, they do not fade quietly. They swell and pulsate, and in their great heaving sighs, they blow their own atmospheres out into space. In these expanding shells of gas, rich with newly forged elements, conditions are just right for chemistry to perform a kind of magic. Atoms of carbon, of silicon, of oxygen begin to stick together. They form tiny clusters, molecules, and then these molecules attract more atoms layer upon layer, like a pearl forming around a grain of sand in an oyster. The result is a microscopic grain of dust, a motel of perhaps 1 million atoms. Imagine a flake of graphite, the stuff in a pencil lead, but infinitesimally small, or a tiny irregular shard of something like sand but far more intricate. These grains are not spherical. They are jagged, porous, full of strange, complex shapes. Some are thought to have a core of carbon, wrapped in a mantle of frozen water, ammonia and methane. A tiny, dirty snowball drifting between the stars. They are the soot from a stellar furnace, the ash from a cosmic fire, and they are the seeds of worlds to come. Their journey is one of immense patience. They drift. They are pushed by the gentle pressure of starlight, a force so faint it is unnoticeable on Earth, but over the millennia it can propel these tiny grains across the galaxy. They spin, slowly, tumbling end over end in the silent dark, and as they drift, they perform a crucial silent duty. They are the universe's master sculptors of shadow and light. You see, starlight, as it travels for years through the void, mostly passes straight through the sparse gas. But when it encounters one of these dust grains, something different happens. The light interacts with this tiny solid obstacle. It can be absorbed, heating the dust grain ever so slightly, giving it a tiny whisper of warmth in the overwhelming cold. Or the light can be scattered. A blue photon might be sent careening off in a new direction, while a red photon is allowed to pass. This is why we see those vast, dark ribbons snaking through the Milky Way. They are not holes in the galaxy. They are colossal clouds of this cosmic dust, blocking the light from the stars behind them, sculpting the luminous river of our galaxy into patterns of light and shadow. The dust is the architect of the cosmic landscape, painting with absence, carving with obscurity, but its most poetic role is that of a cradle. Within the dark, dense clouds where these dust grains are most concentrated, they provide a shelter from the harsh energies of interstellar space. They cluster together, a fine mist becoming a dense fog. And in that protective gloom on the surfaces of these tiny frozen grains, the first complex molecules of life can begin to form. The dust grain becomes a laboratory, a workshop, a single, floating platform upon which the building blocks of RNA of amino acids can slowly, patiently assemble. This dust does not just dream of stars. It dreams of planets. It dreams of oceans. It dreams perhaps of you. So, as you lie in the quiet, consider the space around you. It is not a true void. It is a gallery of invisible sculptures, a sea of sleeping seeds, each mote a world in potential, each grain a silent architect of light and life. And in the deep, resonant silence of the night, you can almost feel their gentle collective presence, a promise of future worlds, whispered on the cosmic wind. Now let us gather these lonely atoms and these dreaming dust grains together. Let us gather them in almost unimaginable numbers, billions of them, and let us watch what happens when this tenuous, invisible medium decides to become visible. When the void itself begins to glow, to swirl, to paint the darkness with light. We are entering the cosmic cradle. We are coming upon a nebula. The word itself, nebula, is from the Latin for mist, or cloud, and that is what they appear to be, great swirling clouds in space. But to see them as simple clouds is to miss their true nature. A nebula is not a thing separate from the interstellar medium. It is the interstellar medium. It is a region where the thin gas and dust of the cosmos have gathered, have concentrated, have become so dense that they can no longer hide from our sight. They are the interstellar medium made manifest. Imagine you are floating in the deep ocean and you come upon a vast, dense kelp forest. The kelp is not a separate entity from the ocean. It is a part of the ocean that has grown, that has structured itself. So it is with a nebula. It is a structured, concentrated region of the medium. And like a kelp forest, it becomes a nursery, a sanctuary, a place of immense creative activity. There are many kinds of nebulae, each a different verse in the same cosmic poem. Some are called emission nebulae. These are the great glowing clouds of light, like the Orion Nebula. Their story is one of brilliant youth and fierce energy. At the heart of these nebulae, new, massive, and incredibly hot stars have just ignited. They blaze with a fierce ultraviolet light. This intense radiation floods the surrounding gas cloud, and it does something beautiful. It energizes the hydrogen atoms that make up most of the cloud. It strips the electrons from their protons, in a process called ionization. It's a violent act on a tiny scale, but its collective result is one of the most serene sights in the universe. For when those electrons eventually find their way back to a proton, they release their stored energy, and they release it as light, a soft, specific red light. This is why these nebulae glow with such ethereal, pinkish red hues. They are giant clouds of hydrogen fluorescing. They are cosmic neon signs shining in the dark, announcing the birth of new suns. Then there are the reflection nebulae. These are the quieter, more contemplative siblings. They do not create their own light. Instead, they are clouds of dust. And when the light from a nearby star falls upon them, They do not absorb it and re-emit it like the gas. They simply scatter it, reflect it, like a street lamp illuminating a fog. And just as fog scatters blue light more effectively, giving it a hazy, ethereal blue glow, so too do these cosmic dust clouds. They are the silent blue veils draped over the shoulders of young stars, softening their brilliance into something dreamlike and soft. And finally there are the dark nebulae. These are the most mysterious. They are not illuminated from within, nor from the side. They are the dense, cold clouds of dust so thick they block all the light from the stars behind them. They are the silhouettes, the cutouts in the fabric of the Milky Way. They are not empty. They are in fact the most full. They are so dense they are the next chapter in the story of creation. It is within these dark, cold and silent wombs that the next generation of stars is already beginning to coalesce, hidden from view, preparing for their eventual brilliant debut. A nebula, then, is not just a cloud. It is a phase. It is a state of becoming. It is the interstellar medium at its most creative, its most dynamic. It is the moment the raw potential of the cosmos gathers itself and begins to weave a new tapestry of stars and planets. It is a celestial incubator, where the gentle, patient forces of gravity and radiation work in a slow, billion-year dance to transform drifting whispers into roaring suns and motes of dust into entire worlds. As you drift in the quiet, you can imagine these great, glowing cradles suspended in the darkness. They are not faraway pictures. They are alive. They are breathing. They are the universe's way of gathering the nothing and making it everything. And in their gentle, luminous glow, you can feel the deep, rhythmic pulse of creation itself, a slow, steady heartbeat in the chest of the cosmos. Within the heart of those dark, silent nebulae, within the deepest, most secluded pockets of the cosmic cradle, a process of immense patience is underway. It is a process so slow, so gradual, that it makes the growth of a mountain seem like a sudden explosion. It is the gentle collapse, the birth of a star. Imagine one of those dark nebulae, a vast black cloud light years across. It is cold, so very cold. The dust grains, those tiny frozen motes, hang suspended in the gas, blocking what little starlight tries to pierce the gloom. For eons this cloud has drifted, unchanging. But then, a subtle shift, a whisper of a disturbance, perhaps the shock wave from a distant supernova, a gentle pressure wave rolling through the interstellar medium, or perhaps the natural slow-motion dance of the galaxy itself, as spiral arms swirl and compress the gas. Or perhaps it is simply the inevitable work of gravity, the most patient and persistent force in the universe. Gravity is the great gatherer. It is the quiet invitation that pulls things together. Within the cloud there are regions that are ever so slightly denser than others. A few more atoms per cubic centimetre, a handful more dust grains, and in these regions gravity has just a little more to work with. It begins, softly, to pull. It is not a violent yank. It is an imperceptible leaning, a slow, cosmic sigh drawing inward. For 100,000 years the collapse is barely anything at all. A gentle drift. The atoms and dust in the centre of this dense knot begin to draw closer together. The cloud fragments. It breaks apart into smaller, swirling clumps, each one destined to become its own stellar system. As the material falls inward, it begins to spin, slowly at first, then faster. A cosmic whirlpool forms in the dark, a protostellar disk. At its centre, the material grows denser and denser. The pressure builds. The temperature begins to rise. For now, it is not a star. It is a protostar, a furious collapsing sphere of gas and dust, glowing not from nuclear fire, but from the sheer immense heat of compression. The energy of its own fall is converted into warmth. It is a warm ember in an icy black furnace. It is hidden from the outside universe, shrouded in its own thick cocoon of dust, a cosmic caterpillar in its chrysalis. This goes on for another 1,000,000 years. The collapse continues. The core grows hotter, denser. The atoms, once lonely drifters, are now pressed together in a frantic hot crowd. Hydrogen atoms, moving faster and faster in the growing heat, begin to collide with one another, but they are still just colliding. They are not yet merging. The core is a chaotic, seething plasma, waiting for a threshold to be crossed. And then, it happens. The temperature in the core reaches a critical point. 15 million degrees. At this threshold of heat and pressure, something magical occurs. The protons of hydrogen atoms, which normally repel each other with fierce electromagnetic force, are slammed together with such immense energy that they overcome their mutual aversion. They fuse. In a process that takes mere moments, 4 hydrogen nuclei are forged into one helium nucleus. But in that act of creation, a tiny amount of mass is lost. And according to Einstein's great equation, that mass is converted into a colossal amount of energy. A gentle, steady nuclear fire is ignited. It begins not with a bang, but with a soft, sustained roar deep within the core. The outward pressure from this new, radiant energy pushes back against the relentless inward crush of gravity. A balance is struck, an equilibrium that will last for billions of years. The collapse stops. The star is born. The newborn star now begins to clear its nursery. Its light, its radiation pressure, and the fierce flow of its stellar wind begin to push away the remaining cocoon of gas and dust. It blows a bubble in its own dark nebula. For the first time, the star's light pierces the darkness that shrouded its formation. It is a dawn, a cosmic sunrise. This is the gentle collapse. It is a story of quiet gathering, of patient pulling, of a warmth that grows in the deepest dark until it can no longer be contained. It is the story of how the universe, through the simplest of forces, gathers the near nothing of the interstellar medium, and lights a candle against the night. And as that new star begins its long, steady life, it sends its light out into the void, a beacon that will one day, perhaps, fall on another world and be seen by another wondering eye, drifting gently to sleep. We have spoken of atoms and dust, of clouds and collapses, but there is another more subtle architect at work in the great in-between, an invisible hand that guides, shapes and weaves the cosmos. It is a force we cannot see, cannot hear, and cannot touch, yet it is as real and as influential as gravity itself. It is the force of magnetism, and the space between the stars is threaded with its silent, powerful lines. Imagine, if you will, the galaxy as a vast cosmic loom, and stretched across this loom, flowing through the emptiness, are lines of magnetic force. They are not made of matter, you cannot hold them. They are directions, pathways of influence. Think of them as the grain in a piece of wood, an invisible structure that guides the flow of things. Or imagine the gentle structured patterns that iron filings make around a bar magnet, those elegant curving lines that reach from one pole to the other. Now, dissolve the iron filings, dissolve the magnet itself, leave only the lines, and then expand this pattern to a scale so immense it stretches between stars. This is the magnetic field of the galaxy. These fields are born in motion. In the churning plasma of stars, in the turbulent wakes of supernovae, electric currents flow, and where there are moving electric charges, magnetic fields are born. These fields are then stretched, twisted, and woven into the fabric of space by the slow, grand rotation of the galaxy itself. They become a cosmic web, a spider's silk of force on a light-year scale. And this web is not static. It is alive with a slow, pulsating energy. It breathes with the rhythms of the galaxy. The magnetic threads are in constant slow motion, like the deep, deep currents of the ocean, shifting over centuries, over millennia. They are the universe's silent, energetic skeleton. Now, watch what happens when this invisible architecture interacts with the visible world. Remember our lonely hydrogen atom drifting on its million-year journey. It is not entirely free. It is an ion, a charged particle, and as such, it feels the touch of these magnetic threads. It is not pulled by them, not exactly. It is guided. It is compelled to spiral ever so slowly around a magnetic field line. Its path, which might have been a straight line, becomes a gentle corkscrew spiral, a slow waltz along an invisible wire. The atom becomes a celestial railroad worker, travelling the tracks laid down by the magnetic field. The cosmic dust, too, is influenced. While the grains themselves are neutral, they can become polarized, acquiring a slight magnetic character. And the larger grains, as they spin, can find themselves aligned by the magnetic field, like countless tiny compass needles all pointing in the same direction. This alignment is the reason that starlight, as it passes through clouds of dust, becomes polarized, its waves organized to vibrate in a preferred direction. The invisible magnetic field leaves its signature in the very light. We see a hidden message written in the language of photons. These fields are the great organizers of the chaos. Within a dark nebula, on the verge of collapse, the magnetic field provides a supporting structure. It acts like a gentle, resisting pressure, slowing the collapse, guiding the flow of material into the nascent star. It is the scaffold upon which the star is built. It channels the fierce stellar winds of newborn stars, funneling them into brilliant opposing jets that shoot out for light years, piercing the surrounding gas like beacons. They are the midwives of starbirth, directing the flow of cosmic material. And when a star dies in a supernova, the explosion sends a violent shockwave rippling through the interstellar medium. This shockwave compresses the magnetic fields, strengthening them, twisting them into new and powerful configurations. These amplified fields then go on to accelerate charged particles to nearly the speed of light, creating the cosmic rays that will later sail through the void. The magnetic field is both a product of cosmic violence and a shaper of the aftermath. So, as you lie in the quiet, consider this hidden tapestry. The space between the stars is not a formless emptiness. It is a structured, organized realm, woven through with lines of force. It is a universe where the invisible guides the visible, where silent threads of magnetism direct the dance of atoms, the birth of stars, and the journey of light itself. You're surrounded by an unseen latticework of connection, a silent, pulsing web that holds the galaxy together. And in the deepest quiet of the night, if you still your mind enough, you can almost feel its subtle, structuring presence, the great invisible loom on which the cosmos is woven. There is a rain falling on you right now. It has been falling for your entire life, and for the entire history of our planet. It falls through the roof above you, through the very air you breathe, and it passes through your body in a silent, ceaseless shower. You cannot feel it, you cannot see it, but it is there. This is the cosmic rain, the steady, gentle drizzle of cosmic rays. The name is dramatic, perhaps misleading. They are not rays of light, like a laser beam, and they are not a downpour of destruction. Think of them instead as the gentlest of atomic rains, a silent, invisible sleet of particles, each one a tiny, high-speed messenger from the depths of the galaxy. Most of them are the bare, stripped nuclei of atoms, the hearts of hydrogen, helium, and even heavier elements like carbon and iron, torn from their electron clouds and hurled across the void. They are atomic shrapnel, travelling at nearly the speed of light. Where does this gentle atomic rain come from? Its sources are the great quiet engines of the galaxy. The primary wellspring is the shockwaves of supernova explosions. When a massive star ends its life, it does not fade quietly. It unleashes a titanic blast, a shockwave that expands outwards for light years. This shockwave is a natural particle accelerator of a scale and power we can scarcely imagine on Earth. The turbulent, twisting magnetic fields within it act like a cosmic slingshot, grabbing hold of charged particles and flinging them forward again and again, each time adding a burst of speed until they are travelling at a breathtaking fraction of a light speed. They are the sparks thrown from a cosmic anvil. Other contributors are the fierce young pulsars, the spinning, magnetized cores of dead stars, lashing their surroundings with beams of intense radiation and particles. Even the quiet, gentle winds from stars like our Sun contribute their own, softer drizzle to this eternal rainfall. These particles are then set adrift, their paths no longer straight, but curved and spiraled by the same invisible magnetic threads we just encountered. They bounce from field line to field line, trapped in the magnetic maze of the galaxy, for tens of thousands of years, forming a faint, pervasive fog of high-energy particles that fills the entire interstellar medium. Now, picture one of these cosmic ray protons. It has been travelling for 100,000 years. It has spiralled along magnetic highways, sailed through the silent dark of nebulae, and passed by the gravitational wells of unseen stars. Its journey is one of immense patience and solitude. And then it encounters a fragile blue and white world, our world. It enters the atmosphere. It streaks downward, a silent microscopic meteor, and it collides, with immense energy, with the nucleus of an atom in the air, an atom of nitrogen or oxygen. This collision is a tiny, silent firework. It shatters the air nucleus, creating a spray of secondary particles, muons, electrons, pions, that themselves cascade downward. This is an air shower. a silent, invisible blossom of particles flowering in the upper atmosphere, all stemming from that single ancient proton. And many of these secondary particles, these grandchildren of the original cosmic ray, continue their journey downward. They pass through the clouds, through the trees, through the roof of your home. And as you lie there, listening to this quiet narrative, several of them will pass through your body every single second. They traverse the spaces between your atoms, a ghostly transit that leaves no trace, causes no harm. You are, in this very moment, permeable to the universe. You are a ghost to this cosmic rain, and it is a ghost to you. This rain is a constant, gentle reminder of our connection to the violent and the distant. The iron nucleus that just passed through your hand may have been forged in the heart of a star that died in a cataclysm 100 million years ago. It has been sailing through the galaxy ever since, and its epic journey has now, briefly, intersected with your own. It is a visitor from the great in-between, a silent witness to the dynamism of the cosmos, arriving as a gentle atomic whisper against your skin. So, as you hear the soft, rhythmic patter of imagined rain, know that a real, though invisible rain is always falling. It is the universe's way of touching us, of reminding us that we are not separate from the galaxy's great cycles of life and death. We are immersed in its energies, its histories, its silent, ceaseless weather. And in this gentle, cosmic rainfall, we can find a deep and profound sense of connection to the vast, dynamic, and beautifully violent cosmos we call home. Now let us meet the most elusive traveller of them all, a particle so ghostly, so indifferent to the world of matter, that it makes the cosmic ray seem like a boisterous, crashing giant. This is the neutrino, the little neutral one. If the cosmic rays are the gentle rain, then neutrinos are the mist, the faint etial fog that permeates everything, unnoticed and unstoppable. To understand a neutrino, we must first appreciate the concept of emptiness. We have learned that the atom is mostly empty space, a tiny nucleus surrounded by a distant cloud of electrons. But within that nucleus, the emptiness is even more profound. A neutrino is a ghost that can walk through 1,000 light-years of solid lead and never once brush against a single atom. It is the universe's most perfect solitary traveller. These particles are born in the heart of nuclear fires. Every second in the core of our sun, as hydrogen fuses into helium, countless neutrinos are created and blasted outward. They are the faint, inevitable byproduct of the reactions that give us light and life. But unlike the photons of light, which take 100,000 years to bounce their way from the sun's core to its surface, neutrinos do not bounce. They do not interact. They emerge from the furnace and fly straight out, at the speed of light, unimpeded. Within just over 8 minutes they have crossed the vast gulf between the sun and Earth, and they pass through our planet as if it were not even there. Imagine a single neutrino, produced in the solar core. It streaks toward Earth. It enters the atmosphere. It passes through the crust, through the molten mantle, through the dense iron core. It continues upward through the other side of the planet and back out into space. It does not slow, it does not deflect, it does not notice the oceans, the mountains, the cities, or you. It is a whisper in a cathedral, a sigh in a hurricane. This ghostly nature comes from its fundamental properties. The neutrino is neutral, carrying no electric charge, so it is deaf to the electromagnetic force that governs the interactions of atoms and light. It feels only the weakest of nature's forces, the aptly named weak nuclear force and gravity, which for a particle so tiny is almost negligible. It is, for all intents and purposes, a citizen of a parallel reality that only occasionally intersects with our own, and yet they are everywhere. As you lie there in the quiet of your room, you are being traversed by billions upon billions of them every second. They come from the sun, from the distant dying stars in our galaxy, from the cataclysmic mergers of neutron stars, and even from the Big Bang itself. You are a nexus, a momentary waypoint in an endless silent pilgrimage of ghosts. Your body is a planet, and they are its phantom moons, forever falling through you, never to be captured. There is a beautiful, humbling thought here. The light from the stars we see at night is ancient. It has travelled for years, for centuries, for millennia, but the neutrinos arriving from that same star are fresh. They are news from the present moment of that distant sun, carrying a message from its core, arriving at the same time as its ancient light. They are the live broadcast from the heart of a star, while the light is a delayed recording. Scientists have built immense sensitive detectors deep underground, in abandoned mines and beneath mountains, to catch the rare, fleeting moment when a neutrino does interact with matter. They wait, in profound silence and darkness, for the phantom to finally leave a fingerprint, and very, very occasionally one does. It is an event of immense significance, a conversation with a ghost. So, as you drift in the deep silence of the night, consider the silent phantom traffic flowing through you. You're not a solid, isolated being. You're a permeable entity, a temporary constellation of matter, being endlessly, gently, ghosted by the universe. These neutrinos are the most solitary beings in existence, on journeys that will likely never end, never interrupted, and in their silent, ceaseless passage, they connect you, in the most intimate and untouchable way, to the fiery hearts of every star you see and every star you cannot. You're a way station for the universe's most elusive messengers, a part of a conversation so quiet it is held in the language of pure silence. There is an echo in the universe, not an echo of sound, but an echo of light. The faintest whisper of warmth, a thermal memory that permeates every cubic inch of the cosmos. It is the oldest thing we can perceive. It is the afterglow of creation itself. This is the cosmic microwave background, and it is the final, definitive proof that the great in-between is not empty, but is, in fact, filled with the ghost of the beginning. To understand this echo, we must take a journey back in time. Not a few million years, but all the way back, some 13.8 billion years, to the very origin of our universe. In its first, searing moments, the cosmos was not dark. It was not cold. It was not spacious. It was an unimaginably dense, hot, brilliant fireball, a primeval furnace of energy where space and time themselves were born. In this churning plasma, light could not travel freely. It was trapped, constantly bouncing off a thick soup of particles, a blinding, opaque fog. For hundreds of thousands of years, this was the state of all things. Then, a pivotal moment arrived. The universe, in its relentless expansion, had cooled just enough. The temperature dropped below a critical threshold. Electrons and protons, which had been dancing apart, were finally able to combine to form the first stable hydrogen atoms. This event is called recombination, but a better name might be the Great Clearing. In that cosmic moment, the thick, soupy fog of particles were cleared. The universe became transparent. For the first time, light could travel in a straight line. It was set free. That first flash of liberated light, from the moment the universe became transparent, is what we now detect as the cosmic microwave background. It is the baby picture of the cosmos. Now, imagine that light. It was once as brilliant and hot as the surface of a star, but the universe has been expanding for all the time since, and as space itself stretches, it stretches the light travelling through it. It pulls its waves longer and longer. This is called redshift. The brilliant visible light from the beginning of time has been stretched over 13.8 billion years into the microwave part of the spectrum. Its energy has been diluted, its warmth has been cooled by the vast expanding volume of the universe. The searing heat of creation has been cooled to a faint uniform chill. It is just 3 degrees above absolute zero, a cold that is almost nothing, but not quite. And this is the most astonishing part. It is everywhere. It fills the space between the stars and the planets. It is in the room with you right now. It is passing through your body. If you could see in microwaves, the entire sky, in every direction you looked, would glow with a uniform, soft, pearlescent light. There would be no darkness. The entire universe would be bathed in this primordial, gentle luminescence. The void is, in fact, a luminous, thermal sea. The emptiness is alight with the faded brilliance of the first dawn. This echo is not perfectly uniform. If you listen to that soft, uniform hum with a sensitive enough instrument, you would hear tiny, tiny variations, whispers of a slightly higher pitch here, a slightly lower one there. These are the cosmic seeds. These infinitesimal wrinkles in the fabric of the early universe are the gravitational seeds around which all the structure we see today would eventually form. That tiny, slightly denser patch of hum is the gravitational nest that would one day collapse to form a galaxy cluster. The great in-between holds the blueprint for everything. So, as you rest in the quiet, consider this. The space you perceive as dark and empty is, in fact, illuminated by the most ancient of all lights. The silence you hear is filled with the most fundamental of all hums. You're not just lying in a room. You're submerged in a gentle thermal ocean, the cooled remnant of the universe's fiery birth. You're bathed in the afterglow of time's beginning. The universe has a memory, and it is written not in stone or in books, but in light, and it is all around you. A soft cosmic lullaby from the dawn of everything. The universal hum gently recedes, not into silence, but into a new sound. A soft, continuous sigh, like a steady exhalation from a sleeping giant, or the faintest of winds heard from inside a sheltered cabin. Our journey through the great in-between now turns inward, toward home. For our own solar system is not a static island in the cosmic ocean. It is a bubble, a moving, breathing entity, defined by a gentle, perpetual breath flowing from our sun. This is the solar wind, and it is the local expression of the interstellar medium, the intimate weather of our celestial neighbourhood. Imagine the sun, not as a placid, constant ball of light, but as a living, breathing heart. Its surface, the corona, is not a calm boundary. It is a seething million-degree atmosphere, a tempest of incandescent plasma, and in this perpetual storm the sun's gravitational grip and magnetic fields are not quite strong enough to hold on to everything. The outermost layers of this corona are, in a very real sense, boiling off into space, not in great heaving bursts, but in a constant steady stream, a gentle, eternal exhalation. This is the solar wind, a flow of charged particles, mostly electrons and protons, the disassembled pieces of hydrogen atoms, streaming outward from the sun in all directions. It is not a gale force wind. It is a breeze, a zephyr on a cosmic scale. But it moves with incredible speed, travelling at hundreds of kilometres per second. It is a whisper that moves faster than any bullet. This gentle breath expands outward, past the orbits of the inner planets. It flows past Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. It continues through the asteroid belt, past the giant planets Jupiter and Saturn, and on toward the frozen, distant realms where comets are born. For billions of miles, the sun's influence holds sway through this tenuous, flowing medium. This creates a vast protective bubble around our entire solar system, known as the heliosphere. The heliosphere is our solar system's weather system, its climate. It is the domain carved out by the sun's gentle breath within the wider, slower currents of the interstellar medium. Think of it as a celestial airship, moving through a thin interstellar fog. The heliosphere is the envelope of the airship, and the solar wind is the breath of air inside it, inflating it and pushing against the outside fog. Our entire planetary system is carried within this protective bubble. This gentle wind has a profound and beautiful effect on our world. When this stream of charged particles approaches Earth, it does not strike us directly. It encounters our planet's own magnetic field, a protective shield generated by the churning of molten iron in Earth's core. The solar wind flows around this magnetic bubble, the magnetosphere, shaping it into a teardrop with a long tail stretching away from the sun far into the night. But at the poles, where the magnetic field lines funnel down into the atmosphere, the solar wind is allowed to dip in. And there, it works its most famous magic. It energizes the atoms of oxygen and nitrogen in our upper atmosphere, causing them to glow. They become a celestial canvas. The atoms release their energy in shimmering curtains of green and red and violet light. They dance and ripple across the polar skies. This is the aurora, the northern and southern lights. They are not just a beautiful light show. They are the visible proof of the solar wind's touch. They are the gentle breath of the sun, painting the skies of Earth. This wind is also a sculptor. It is the force that blows the magnificent tails of comets away from the sun. As a comet's icy nucleus is warmed, it releases gas and dust. The solar wind then sweeps this material into those glorious sweeping plumes that can stretch for millions of miles, always pointing away from the solar breeze. The comet's tail is a cosmic windsock, showing us the direction and flow of the sun's eternal exhalation. So, as you feel the gentle rise and fall of your own chest in the quiet, know that you are breathing in rhythm with a much larger system. The sun breathes out, and its breath creates the very space in which our planet sails. It defines the environment of our solar system. It protects us from the harsher galactic environment outside. And on certain special nights, It reaches down and touches our world with brushes of shimmering ethereal light. We live inside the breath of our star, a gentle cosmic breeze that is the most local and most intimate part of the great in-between. From the gentle breath of the sun, we now turn our attention to the travellers that ride its currents, the icy messengers, the comets. These are not merely distant points of light with fiery tails. They are the most direct connection we have to the raw, unprocessed material of the great in-between. They are time capsules carrying the frozen memory of the solar system's birth from the deepest, darkest reaches of our celestial neighbourhood. A comet's home is not among the planets. Its true residence is in the frozen, silent outskirts of our solar system, in two vast reservoirs. The first is the Kuiper Belt, a donut-shaped region beyond the orbit of Neptune, a realm of icy worlds and dwarf planets where Pluto resides. The second, much farther out, is the Oort cloud, a theoretical spherical shell of icy objects that is believed to encase the entire solar system like a thin, cosmic eggshell, reaching nearly halfway to the next star. This is the true frontier. Here, in the profound cold and near absolute darkness, the comets slumber. These cometary nuclei are often called dirty snowballs, but that is too simple a name for such complex relics. Imagine instead a vast, dark and fragile mountain of ice. Not just water ice, but ices of frozen gases, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, methane and ammonia. And mixed throughout this frozen matrix is the very cosmic dust we met earlier. The silicate grains, the complex carbon-based molecules. A comet is a frozen sample of the primordial solar nebula, the cloud of gas and dust from which the sun and planets formed 4.6 billion years ago. It is a museum piece, preserved in a deep freeze at the edge of time. For eons, a comet will orbit in this deep freeze unchanging. But then, a gravitational nudge. Perhaps the gentle tug from a passing star a billion miles away, or the shifting dance of the giant planets. This tiny perturbation is enough to dislodge it from its stable orbit. It begins a long, slow fall inward, toward the warmth and light of the inner solar system. Its great journey has begun. As it approaches the sun, the temperature rises. The ices on its surface, frozen solid for billions of years, begin to sublimate. They turn directly from solid to gas, without ever becoming liquid. Jets of gas erupt from the comet's dark nucleus, bursting forth like geysers, and as these gases stream into the vacuum of space, they carry with them the trapped dust grains. The comet grows a vast, tenuous atmosphere around its nucleus, called a coma, a glowing, fuzzy head that can be larger than a planet. And then, the solar wind and the pressure of sunlight itself go to work. They push against this ethereal coma, blowing the gas and dust away from the sun. This is what creates the comet's magnificent tails, not one, but two. The dust tail is curved, wide, and reflective, shining by scattered sunlight. It is a trail of the very seeds of planets, the cosmic dust, being blown back into the void. The ion tail, or gas, tail is straight, narrow, and often bluish in colour. It is made of the gas molecules that have been ionized by the sun's ultraviolet light, and it points directly away from the sun, a perfect celestial weather vane showing the direction of the solar wind. A comet, then, is a temporary visitor, a piece of the distant frozen frontier that has come to call on the warm inner worlds. As it swings around the sun, it leaves a trail of its own debris along its orbital path. And when the Earth, in its own annual journey, passes through this stream of ancient dust, we see a meteor shower. Those fleeting, brilliant streaks of light in our night sky are the vaporizing remnants of a comet, the final, burning messages from an icy messenger, delivering their last communique as they turn to dust in our atmosphere. So the next time you hear of a comet in the news, or are lucky enough to see a meteor shower, see it for what it truly is. It is not just a spectacle. It is a letter from the edge of our solar system, a piece of the great in-between made temporarily visible. It is a reminder that the boundaries of our system are porous, and that the frozen ancient past can, at any moment, send a silent, glowing emissary into our present, trailing the very stuff of creation behind it. The crystalline tinkling of the comet slowly fades, leaving a space that is not empty, but structured. A single, clear note from a piano hangs in the air, resonating before it decays into a waiting silence. We have journeyed far into the great in-between. We have met its solitary atoms, its dreaming dust, its magnetic threads, and its ancient light. We have felt the solar wind and witnessed the icy messengers. But now, let us take a step back. Let us consider the whole. The cosmos in its entirety is not just a collection of objects. It is a composition, a form of music. And like all great music, its power and its beauty depend as much on the silence between the notes as on the notes themselves. Think of a symphony, a single, struck note from a cello. It is beautiful, rich, and full of meaning. But it is the silence that follows that gives the note its shape, that allows it to resonate, to decay, to settle in the listener's soul. Without the silence, the note would be lost in a cacophony. The silence is not an absence, it is a context. It is the canvas upon which the sound is painted, so it is with the universe. The stars and planets are the notes. Brilliant, shining, full of their own complex vibrations and energies. They are the melody of the cosmos, but the great in-between, this vast, subtle and dynamic medium, is the silence. It is the resonant space that allows each star to be perceived as an individual point of light. It is the context that gives the celestial structures their form, their separation, their identity. Without the interstellar medium, the galaxy would be a blinding, featureless sheet of light. There would be no dark nebulae to carve out the shape of the Milky Way. There would be no red glow of emission nebulae to colour the darkness. There would be no gentle extinction of starlight to give us a sense of immense layered distance. The silence of the medium is what creates the contrast. It is what allows us to see the music of the spheres. It provides the negative space that defines the positive. This cosmic silence is also active. It is not a passive emptiness. It is a medium that carries vibrations. It transmits the gentle pressure of starlight. It guides cosmic rays along magnetic pathways. It cradles the shock waves from supernovae, which themselves become the triggers for new star formation. The silence between the stars is in fact full of these gentle rhythmic pulses. It is like the deep resonant body of a cello, which amplifies and gives richness to the vibration of the string. The interstellar medium takes the brilliant, chaotic energy of the stars and translates it into a slower, more patient, more pervasive rhythm, the rhythm of cosmic evolution. This is a rhythm we can feel in our own lives if we listen for it. The rhythm of the seasons, the rhythm of our own breath and heartbeat, the rhythm of waking and sleeping. These are all echoes of the larger cosmic pattern, a pattern of activity and rest, of sound and silence, of matter and the space that holds it. As you lie in the quiet of your room, you are experiencing this same principle on a personal scale. The thoughts and sensations of your day are the notes. They have had their melody, their complexity, but now as you prepare for sleep you are entering the silence between the notes. This is not a void in your consciousness. It is a fertile ground. It is the space where the experiences of the day can be processed, where memories can be woven, where your mind and body can restore themselves. The silence is where integration happens. It is where the music of your being finds its meaning. The great in-between of the cosmos is the same. It is the universe's mind at rest. It is the place where the energy of stars is recycled, where the elements of planets are forged, where the potential for new life is sown. It is the cosmic sleep from which new awakenings are born. So, do not mistake the darkness for emptiness. Do not mistake the silence for nothingness. The space between the stars is the most essential part of the cosmic symphony. It is the breath, the pause, the resonant space that holds all of creation together in a coherent, beautiful and evolving whole. And as you drift in the quiet between your own thoughts, you are harmonizing with this most fundamental of all rhythms. You are becoming the silence between the notes, and in doing so you are joining the grandest composition of all. The anticipatory silence softens, giving way to a new, profound sound. The slow, rhythmic, and resonant thrum of a deep, cosmic heartbeat. It is the sound of life itself, synchronized with the pulse of the universe. All of this grand, silent symphony of the in-between, is not a distant story. It is our story. It is the story of your own origin, written in the language of atoms and light. The most profound truth we have uncovered in our exploration of the cosmos is this. We are not merely observers of the universe, we are a way for the universe to know itself. And the material of our bodies is the very material of the stars and the silent dark spaces between them. Let us trace this lineage, a story of homecoming. Every atom in your body, with the exception of the primordial hydrogen, which is a relic of the Big Bang itself, was forged in the heart of a star that lived and died long before our sun was even a glimmer in a nebula. The oxygen you're breathing right now was created in the core of a massive star. The carbon that forms the backbone of your DNA, the proteins in your muscles, the sugars in your blood, all of it was synthesized in the nuclear furnaces of stars. The iron that carries oxygen in your hemoglobin, the calcium in your bones, the phosphorus in your ATP, these heavier elements were created in the final violent moments of a supernova explosion, scattered across the galaxy like seeds. These elements, this stardust, was then blown out into the great in-between. For millions of years they drifted. They were the lonely atoms. They were the dust that dreams of stars. They mingled with the hydrogen gas of the interstellar medium, part of a vast cosmic recycling program. They were swept up by the gentle collapse of a new nebula, a new cosmic cradle. And in that cradle our sun was born, and with it, a swirling disk of this enriched material, the remains of countless ancient stars. From that disk, the Earth coalesced, and on this planet drenched in starlight and built from stardust, something miraculous happened. The conditions were right for the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen from the interstellar medium to assemble into complex molecules. The dust grains, which had sheltered the first organic molecules in deep space, now found themselves in a planetary nursery where they could form even more complex structures. The universe, which had spent billions of years forging elements in stars and mixing them in the interstellar medium, was now using that same material to build a world that could think and feel and wonder. You are therefore literally stardust, every part of you. The neurons firing in your brain as you listen to this are made of atoms that were once part of a star. The rhythm of your heartbeat is powered by calories that ultimately come from sunlight, the light of our own star, which is itself a part of the great in-between. When you look up at the night sky, you are not a stranger looking in. From the outside, you are the universe looking back at itself. You are a collection of ancient cosmic memories, temporarily assembled into a form that can ponder its own existence. This connection is not just poetic, it is physical, and it is continuous. As you lie here, the cosmic rain of particles passes through you. The ghostly neutrinos from the core of the sun traverse your body without a trace. The faint, cold echo of the Big Bang, the cosmic microwave background, is bathing you in its ancient light. You are immersed in the solar wind, the gentle breath of our star. You are right now living and breathing within the interstellar medium of our own solar system. The great in-between is not out there, it is in here. The space between the stars is the same as the space between the atoms in your own hand. You are a small, warm, conscious constellation of the cosmos, a temporary gathering of the void's potential. You are stardust, and you are breathing starlight. The distance between you and the cosmos is an illusion. There is no separation. There is only one single, interconnected system, and you are a beautiful, conscious expression of it. So, as you feel the gentle rise and fall of your own chest, know that you are breathing in time with the universe. The air you inhale was once part of the solar nebula. The carbon you exhale will one day be recycled back into the great cycle of life, and perhaps, in the distant future, back into the cosmos itself. You are a vital part of this endless cosmic dance, a dance of matter and energy, of light and shadow, of sound and silence. A dance that began with a whisper and continues now, in the quiet of this room, with you. The cosmic heartbeat softens, its rhythm slowing, becoming one with the listener's own tranquil pulse. It begins to merge with a new sound, the gentle, rhythmic ebb and flow of waves on a distant, cosmic shore. It is not the crashing of surf, but the soft hiss of water receding over sand, a sound of immense peace and finality. And so, we find ourselves here, at the end of our journey, and yet at the very heart of it. We set out to explore the great in-between, the space between the stars and planets. We thought we were travelling to a distant frontier, but we have discovered instead that we never left home. We have been floating in this cosmic ocean all along. We are all of us. You, me, this planet, the distant stars, adrift together in a gentle, nourishing and unimaginably vast sea. The brilliant points of light are not isolated islands in a dead void. They are temporary gatherings, condensations of the ocean itself glowing for a time before they eventually return their substance to the currents. The The space between them is not an emptiness to be crossed, but the living body of the ocean. It is the medium that connects all things. It carries the messages of light. It guides the paths of atoms. It cradles the seeds of new worlds. It holds the memory of the first dawn. It is the canvas, the sculptor, and the cradle, all at once. You are a part of this ocean. Your body is a local eddy, a temporary whirlpool in the cosmic flow, gathered from stardust and animated by starlight. The same atoms that once drifted in lonely solitude for millions of years now form the intricate structures of your being. The same magnetic fields that shape the galaxy guide the subtle energies within your own neural pathways. The same rhythm of expansion and contraction that governs the universe is echoed in your every breath, in the beating of your heart, in the gentle cycle of your waking and sleeping. There is no need to grasp this, no need to hold it in your mind. The understanding is deeper than thought. It is a feeling, a resonance, a knowing in the blood and bone that you're a native of this cosmos, perfectly at home in its immense quiet depths. As you lie here now, feel the boundaries dissolving. The edge of your skin is not a barrier, but a permeable membrane. The air in the room is part of the solar wind. The silence is filled with the echo of creation. The darkness is alight with the faded glow of the first light. You're not looking at the universe. You're experiencing the universe from within. You're a sense organ for the cosmos, and in this moment of quiet wonder, the cosmos is feeling itself through you. Let this feeling carry you now. Let the gentle sound of the cosmic waves lull you deeper. There is nothing more to do, nowhere else to go, no mystery to solve, only the gentle, rhythmic reality of being, a small, warm, conscious part of a vast, breathing and deeply connected whole. The story does not end when this voice falls silent. The story continues in the quiet of your own being. It continues in your dreams, where the atoms of your mind may dance with the ghosts of neutrinos and the memories of ancient nebulae. It continues with your next breath, a gentle tide drawn from the cosmic ocean. So let go and drift. Drift on these gentle currents. The universe has you. It holds you in the palm of its vast, dark, silent and loving hand. There is only the soft sound of the waves, the rhythm of your breath, and the endless star-dusted dark.